point I want to begin with is now whether the knowledge, feeling and doing connection can be transformed by the relationship that we have with nature. And the data the framework I will offer to you will help in identifying the parameters which produce certain kind of institutional structures. So the thesis is that if we change the institutional structures, then we can also change the way connection between knowledge, feeling and doing takes place. So if we don't go on to our Shodhyatras, don't spend time in the field, then our mind will not work the way it does. If we can spend more time in the field than what we do now, really we will have even more sensitivity than what we have. In other words, if there are ideas with which I have been sitting without doing much about them, the ratio of those ideas which I have worked upon and one which I have not, the ratio will improve if I would have interaction with reality more often. That's a simple point. Because the burden of responsibility will be so much once you confront a reality that you cannot avoid doing something about it. Hopefully. Not necessarily, but hopefully. So the impatience that we need to have, which overcomes the inertia, अधीरता से अकर्मण्यता के ऊपर विजय कैसे पाए? Understand? अधीरता से अकर्मण्यता. Akarmanyata is inertia. Adhirta is impatience. So how do we get into a zone of impatience such that our inertia gives way and we start doing something about things that we believe in? I am not saying anything else. Whatever one believes in. But one can't just keep on living day after day after day after day, not doing anything about it. That's not right. That's not fair to oneself. Forget about the rest of the world. So we need to understand this. And to understand this, so I put together and we will look at 6 or 7 parameters and then see how do the differences emerge because of the dependency that we have, predominant dependency. All of us take something from nature, all of us take something from market, that's not the point, but preponderance, predominantly. So let us look at first the communication, samvad. Communities which depend on nature have analogic and the one here have digital. So analogic is the one which is full of metaphors, मुहावरे. तो आप आदिवासी के गांव में जाते हैं, वो हर दूसरे सेंटेंस में कोई ना कोई मुहावरा सुनाता है. ये तो वो वाली बात हो गई. This is like that. Right? So they have almost in every other sentence an adage, a metaphor, a proverb, etc. Whereas our language more or less has become very digital. This is what it is and this is what it is not. And you want to confirm, but this is what you mean, isn't it? You don't mean this. No, I don't mean this. What we don't realize is that entropy is directly proportional to the digitalization of the knowledge. The more exact you are, higher is the disorder. Entropy माने जो भी ज्ञान है वो ऑर्डर से डिसऑर्डर की तरफ जाता है, व्यवस्था से अव्यवस्था की तरफ. So if you ask yourself a question, why does a classical rag like Malkauns or Bhairavi or whatever is sung the same way as Tansen might have composed it 500 years ago, without any dilution and without any writing? We don't write music in our country, never we wrote. But no distortion over 500 years. And if I tell something in her ear and she tells you a whisper game that we play, you will immediately see by the time the message gets there, kuch aur hi matlab pahunchega wahan par. Isn't it? You must have all played this whisper game. Within a few minutes, there is complete entropy. But in certain kinds of communication systems, entropy doesn't take place. So we are interested in understanding how can civilizations create communication systems which can reduce entropy for 1,000 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years. Our goal is to create Renasa in our society such that the messages, the principles on which we are discussing here will be communicated to 20 generations hence in the same way as we are putting our time and energy together. Because we believe these are the right ways, these are the appropriate ways, this will help our society in the coming 1,000 years. When Buddha designed that story of a drop of water, did I tell you that story, isn't it? Did I? So what happened that, I didn't tell you the story of drop of water? No? Did you? Did I? Alright, so let me tell you that. So 2,000 years ago, this teacher asked a student to bring a glass of water. He brought a glass of water and he asked him to, he drank the water and then he gave the glass back. Student went back and kept the glass in the kitchen. पानी मंगवाया, पानी पिया, ग्लास खाली कर दिया, उसको दे दिया, वो रसोई में रखा है. Teacher called him back. What did you do? He said, what did I do? You brought a glass of water. I took a glass of water. You took a glass of water. You gave me the glass. I kept it back. No, think again. He again went through the same process. You asked me to bring the glass of water. I went to the kitchen, took the glass, washed it, filled the water. He added a few more steps, and then I went back, kept the glass. Think again. He did it 3-4 times, and he became very angry with that student. Oh yes, now I remember. What did he do? When I was going back, there were just a few drops, and I threw them like this and went to the kitchen. He said, what did you say? Say it again. And the moment he said, just a few drops, he got his Zen. He said, just a few drops. Do you understand what you're saying? Those drops were not just. Those could have been put in a plant. And went on to explain to him how critical it is to reflect on every action and see whether it cannot be more productive. 2,000 years ago, he is giving a discourse on a drop of water. There was no shortage of water at the time. Population was much lesser 2,000 years ago. Enough water. No crisis. No problem. What did he do? He knew that in 2011, in IMA campus, the water table will be going down by 15 feet every year. 15 feet every year. I have been in 30 years here. 450 feet, water table has gone down. He knew that. That teacher knew that. He created this metaphor, and that metaphor conveys the same meaning today what it did 2,000 years ago. It doesn't have as much effect on us. That's a different matter. Look at the power. Power of analogic learning, metaphoric learning. Stories are not just like that. It's a great craft. For 2,000 years in advance, you are creating awareness in the mind for a problem that has not arisen now, that will not arise for 100 years, not for 200 years, not for 5,000 years, not for 1,000 years. That will only arise after 2,000 years. And you are preparing the mind right away. That is wisdom. That is wisdom. वो बुद्धि है. Now the question is,
if we want to do something about our society and we want to create new rules, new lessons for the future, we have to show wisdom. It's not going to happen only by logic. We have to understand what kind of rules we trigger, but these rules must be embedded in analogic, metaphorical language rather than only digital language, which means we have to create new metaphors and new metaphors, new ways of metaphors by definition are partial map of reality. Partial map of reality. So what do? These metaphors therefore have an advantage. What is the advantage? Part of the meaning is with the person who is telling the story, but part of the meaning is with the person who is listening to the story. I am able to use my contemporary context of water scarcity and bring it to the table, right? It is not in the story, but I have brought it. I have brought the meaning of the water table decline in IMA campus to the story, right? It is not in the story. Every time you do it, it gets embedded in the psyche. It is likely not to be forgotten now. You may forget 100 things which I have said in this class. Probably this story will not be forgotten. I am sure about it. If I ask you on the 25th of this month, write me 5 things that you remember, probably you will remember these stories. Isn't it? Probably. That is the power of metaphor. And I will say, my goodness, I spent so much energy and the only thing that I remember is the stories. Then I should have been only telling the stories. Which is possible. Not. Why not? So, please understand that this is very, very important. And so the second interesting thing about nature-dependent society and the market-dependent society is रेसिप्रोसिटी मीन्स आदान प्रदान. तो प्रकृति पे डिपेंडेंट सोसाइटीज में आदान प्रदान जनरल होता है. तुमने मेरे छप्पर में मदद की थी, छप्पर डालने में, मैं तुम्हारे खेत जोतने में मदद करता हूं. यू हेल्प मी इन थैचिंग माई रूफ एट द बिफोर द रेन, आई विल हेल्प यू इन प्लॉइंग योर लैंड. हाउ डू यू कन्वर्ट द इक्विवेलेंस बिटवीन द टू एक्शंस? इन आवर्स? नो. हाउ क्रिटिकल thatching the roof is before the rain, only the person whose roof is leaking knows. How critical plowing is, the person whose moisture in the soil is evaporating only knows how critical it is timely sowing. The specific is, कल मैंने चाय का पैसा दिया था, आज तुम चाय का पैसा दोगे. पिछली बार मैंने पिक्चर की टिकट ली थी, अब की बार तुम लोगे. This for this. We are, and the young people today use the language, we are square. My goodness, you can never be square. The joy that you got last time you took a cup of tea with me, and the joy that we got this time, can we say it is equal? But we use, the young people use this language, isn't it? We are square. हमारा हिसाब बराबर हो गया. कभी बराबर नहीं होता हिसाब. It never is equal. That's absurd. No two movements are alike. How can you convert an experience of taking tea yesterday with taking tea today? Yesterday you were in a different mood. You needed somebody, you needed a shoulder to cry on, and the fellow friend lent you that shoulder. Today you are in a good mood. You don't need that. How can those two movements be same or similar or comparable? There are no two movements which are comparable. And yet, because the amount we paid for the tea was same, I say we are square. That's what happens in market-based societies. And that's very unfortunate. Because it takes away what is the next issue, which is the IOU. Now mind you, to generate equivalence of generalized reciprocity is a very tough. How much critical the thatching of hut or helping me when my wife was sick and you lent your tractor to take her to the hospital, I can consider that debt for 3 generations. She would not have been alive otherwise if you had not lent a tractor. I am now a gulam, I am your servant, I can do anything for you now.